Welcome everybody, and happy 1st of December, the first day of the Advent calendar. I'm going to do a quick unboxing so you see what we get. First of all, taste adventure map. I'm always up for a taste adventure. Then this booklet has a description of what each whiskey is that we'll be tasting. And then we open the box, which is, I feel like it's very fancy and well made. And it has another little cheat sheet of what all the whiskeys are. And then in each calendar slot, there is a whiskey to taste every day. So, without further ado, let's taste some whiskey. Today's tasting is going to be a single malt whiskey, aged 4 years, from the Glentauchers Distillery, which comes from a first fill bourbon barrel cask. Supposedly has lemongrass, fresh orange, and oily barley. And on the palate, cherry bakewell. I've just been watching Great British Baking Show, so I'm especially excited about that. And finishes with salted caramel and sponge cake. That is very specific, but also very Christmassy. So let's see what we've got here. Oh boy, this is a significantly sized little snifter here. I hope I don't get schnockered every day for 24 days. You might ask yourself, why not? And I guess that's a reasonable question. Okay, so these are special whiskey tasting glasses, and I'll just struggle with that manfully. Also for today's book, because this is after all Whisky and Words for December 1st, I'm considering a book called A Prayer for the Wild Caught. But we'll get back to that later. Now that I've fumbled this glass open. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a sniff in the bottle. Oh, it's like whiskey. Pour it in the glass. I'm going to taste it neat, and I'm going to taste it with a little bit of water, and I'm going to taste it as I like it with a little bit of ice. So, Solancha. Oh, it smells really delightful. It's not harsh at all. Oh my gosh, that is really good. Now, I have to confess something, my friends. I don't actually like whiskey all that much. This was just an impulse buy, an extravagant impulse buy. And I'm glad to be doing it. But everybody gives me whiskey for Christmas and birthdays every year. And if you're a friend of mine and you're planning on giving me a gift this year, please, no more whiskey. I have so much. In fact, if you would like some whiskey, let me know and I will gift you some. But this Glentauchers Distillery 4-year, it does have that taste of orange and sponge cake and caramel. I can definitely see that. It's quite tasty. I like that. Now, I usually take whiskey at least with a little drop of water, so let's try that. Oh, my goodness, that does change its character a lot. Now it's much sweeter. It has a more syrupy mouthfeel. Honestly, it almost tastes like a whiskey version of Lyle's Golden Syrup, if you know what that is. I'm actually a really big fan of this. This is delightful, and I would drink it again on purpose. Oh, okay, now I also like to put my whiskey on the rocks, and some of you will be mortally offended by that. But I checked with the owner of a very famous restaurant in Glasgow, who has an excellent whiskey catalog, if it was acceptable to drink ice in your whiskey, if it was single malt. And he said, "Laddie, we didn't care how you take it, so long as you drink it." So, with that said, yeah, that is so good. And on to the words portion. I mangled the title earlier. It's Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. And it is science fiction, which is near and dear to my heart, though I promise you not every day's book recommendation will be science fiction. Many of them will be fantasy. No, I'm just kidding. I do actually have diverse tastes, and I'll be happy to share them. But yes, science fiction, first love. What can I say? What I love about A Song for the Wild Bill is it's a book about a sort of utopian future society, or perhaps alien society, where humanity built robots to do all the unpleasant labor, and then eventually the robots gained self-awareness and decided that they did not want to do labor for no cause that they hadn't chosen for themselves. And contrary to what every other science fiction story might tell, in this case, the humans decided, yeah, that's fair. You should be able to decide what you want to do. So the robots, basically, 400 years in the past of the story, fucked off to the other side of the planet and have been minding their own business, and there's been no contact between humans and robots since. Until, of course, this book, in which a delightful character named Sibling Dex, who finds fulfillment in their, they identify as non-binary, and they find fulfillment in their life by providing religious services and tea, a nice cup of tea for people as they pedal their tea hut on wheels all around the countryside, stopping, talking to people about their troubles, and then lightening their loads with a cup of tea brewed especially for them. But Sibling Dex is ultimately a little restless and goes off to find adventure in the long forgotten parts of the world that were abandoned after the industrial society. So one of the things I love about this is that it's a vision for a culture and society that uses entirely sustainable and generally locally built energy, resources, and so forth. It doesn't depend on fossil fuel, and there's a high emphasis placed on everything being sustainable and cyclical. But after the end of the industrial age with the robots, much of that industrial kept part fell to ruins. So Sibling Dex goes off to explore those ruins and maybe find meaning, and stumbles upon the first robot that any human has contacted in 400 years. And what follows is a journey of the two of them as Sibling Dex tries to explain humanity to the robot. The robot, in turn, tries to explain what their interests, fascinations, and history is like. And it ends up being a meditation on not just human nature, but also compassion and empathy, and a way to build a peaceful life that has lots of fulfillment for all the people who exist in that culture. But of course, it's also very funny. The robot misunderstands things frequently, and Sibling Dex is exasperated trying to explain what ultimately comes down to that many elements of human nature are kind of irrational. But it's lovely, it's peaceful, it's restorative. If you feel like you need a balm from all the bad news, from the way the world has been winding down to some kind of apocalypse, you may find that this book is a wonderful and delightful way to restore your soul, to find a little faith, and have a vision of a possible life for all of us that exists to emphasize and perpetuate human dignity, and also to uplift people by finding their own particular passions and fulfillment. I really recommend it. So again, Psalm for the Wild Built by Rebecca Chambers. Yeah, Rebecca Chambers. And it's not a very long book. There's a sequel, but the story is not yet finished. It is still in progress. I do recommend it. And I also wholeheartedly recommend this whiskey, which continues to open up to being like a dessert whiskey, if that makes any sense. It's just really, it's sweet and caramelly and a little bit maybe pear. I don't know, cherry Bakewell seems a little strange, but maybe somebody British wrote this. Definitely sponge cake, I can see that. Sea salt, just a smidge, like a salted caramel. Yeah, it's delightful. You're delightful. And I'm glad we've shared this time together. I'll be back tomorrow, December 2nd, day 2, with the Whisky and Words Advent Calendar. Oh, fuck.